Welcome to Insight Marketing Success, the podcast where marketing knowledge meets real-world experience, from vision to execution.
Well, today we have Leslie Randall from Polaris Podium. And Leslie, I had the opportunity to chat with you before, but for our audience, tell us who you are.
Yeah, so I am Leslie Randall. I had an identity crisis over the last few years after my husband died and went from Hillman to Dollinger to Randall to Hillman to Randall to Dollinger to all of the above. So I kind of found myself after that point in time. But yes, I am Leslie Randall, and I've been doing real estate since 2005. Been working since I was a teenager and had then done some startups and built a pretty substantial brokerage, number 3 in the state of Nebraska, and number 5, I believe, nationwide within the Better Homes and Gardens brand. Wow. And then I pivoted from COO into growth and development. It just seemed to fit more with what my natural talents were, because on a day-to-day basis, sometimes management of people can get in the way of what growth and leadership can really mean and be established. And so I found myself getting caught up in the day-to-day grind and not being able to really take the brokerage to the next level. And then developed Polaris Podium, which is a coaching and speaking company that gears towards people with grief. And also educating workplaces on how to navigate through the stresses that come along with personal grief, whether that be a divorce, a loss of a spouse, caring for your elderly parents. So just educating workplaces and companies on, how can we support those employees? And also, how can we continue to make sure that we're getting a return on our employee investment, because we don't need employees distracted by what they have in their personal spaces, so that it continues to propel companies forward. So it's a multifaceted approach.
Amazing. So you have done a lot of things, but I want to go back a little bit. How did you gain that experience? Obviously, you are a smart person, but what is your education? Did you go to college? Did you go to real estate school? What education did you get to start, before you start doing all of these?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started when I was 16, and it was just because a friend had a parent that needed an internship at Remax. And I was like, this is great. I get to answer phones and put flyers in the ground and just be kind of a part of business. I've always wanted to do something on entrepreneurship or in business related. It doesn't necessarily matter what the widget was, but my widget turned out to be real estate, and I was really good at it. And so in 2005, I got licensed. Then the crash came, so I pivoted to third-party property management. Also during that time, went to college, got my degree, got my real estate license in college as part of, I was dual purposed. I got my real estate license and I got credits for a class. So that worked out great for me. And then started working in Colorado doing sales, and then the market crashed. So that's when I pivoted to the third party property management. And that's where I learned a lot about people skills, management, budget analysis. You're basically running your own small company when you're managing a third-party property like that. So apartment complexes that could be anywhere from, I think the smallest I did was 90 units and the largest I did was 350. And you really have to know, you have to be the salesperson, you have to be the manager, you have to be the marketing director, you have to be the CFO and understand all of your financials coming in and out. You have to be able to know maintenance, because you're getting calls coming from apartment, tenants that have something that maybe you could generally fix. You have to know how to manage people and also do problem solving along the way. And then there's the critical problems that come along where you have an apartment that floods, you have a tenant that needs to be evicted, you have, all of these different things. So I've learned along the way. And then that translates into when I started with Better Homes and Gardens, which was actually Gold Coast Real Estate at the time. And they had 50 rent to own properties, three restaurants and bars, and the owner was also selling $20 million of business and managing a team. And when I first started, they handed me one banker's box for all of those and said, okay, here you go. There's that.
Figure it out, huh?
Yeah, figure it out. And so I developed a lot of processes to be able to simplify and streamline how they were running their business and do it more effectively, especially with software. So I was a really big proponent of pushing software back in 2012 when maybe those small companies weren't necessarily finding the return on the investment when it came to the cost of some of those softwares. I was really proposing that, hey, we can make this more efficient. I can track and gather and get more of your return from your rentals and your late fees. And we can then we can scale up and avoid hiring another person that would have to do this manually.
Yeah. So efficiency and productivity, which is
very much.
Yeah.
Very much. Yes.
Awesome. So what was your biggest marketing accomplishment in that process? How did you, because you mentioned earlier on, you were the janitor, the marketing person, the CFO, the operations person, the customer service person. Let's talk about your marketing challenges and one that you will be very proud of.
Yeah, I think that, some of my information could be dated because when I was really digging into the space was in 2012, when people weren't really doing a lot with marketing and social media. It was when it was really especially businesses, individuals were. And so I leaned into it and really got into that space of, okay, how are we actually going to market and how are we going to make sure that we're in front of all of our prospective clients? So the biggest, I think, challenge with that is having adoption within our agents. And so with real estate, our brokerage has 350 agents. And so we teach marketing all the time. And it's very simple, but a lot of times people don't do it. And so that's the biggest challenge that I run into is I can teach it, I can talk about it, but if you don't do it and you don't do it in a consistent enough way that has a message and a purpose, then you're not going to achieve the results that you need. For example, we talk about CRMs, that's the basic. Mm-hmm. Get your CRM in place, but then people don't necessarily know what to do. So teaching them what to do with your CRM and how to contact and market, whether it be newsletters, whether it be your social media, whether it be email campaigns, sometimes it gets overwhelming. And so the challenge is trying to give and train on information about marketing without overwhelming and having them take it in bite-sized pieces so that they can implement different elements into their business as best as possible and something that works for them, because the best CRM is the one you use. So if you're not using it, you could have a yellow notepad and just use that, but you're not going to use something that is too complicated or you don't understand the philosophies behind why you're using it. And marketing is a big why. There's a lot of strategy that comes with marketing that I think a lot of people don't know how to do.
Well, marketing is about connection and being able to create that connection, and we are all different. So you have to try different things for different people, and so I'm with you. I certainly understand what you're saying. All right. So let's talk about a marketing mistake that you encountered and for me, when you make a mistake, it's not a mistake if you learn from it. So tell us about an experience where at the time was a mistake, but then it's like, I learned this to avoid XYZ.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a big one that I remember. And just to kind of give you a background with real estate and the role that I had supported was there are different tiers of marketing that take place. We have the agents who market to their clients. We have the brokerage that markets to their agents, essentially, because we still have to be the culture. We have to be their guiding post. And then we have the company that markets to the consumer. So my biggest failure, which I thought was going to be amazing, was an implementation of new core values to the brokerage. I wanted culture to be at the center focus, which it already was, but I took it and made it too complicated, and I didn't deliver the message appropriately. So I think that it could have had it could have resonated really great, but my failure was I didn't plan for my audience well enough to have the adoption that it needed, and it just fell flat on its face. I mean, people were confused by it. They didn't understand the messaging. They didn't understand how it fit with what their marketing efforts were. They just ultimately were confused, and I knew it was there, but had I planned a little bit better and anticipated some of those challenges of adoption, it could have been really great. But I was trying too hard, and it fell flat. So what I learned from that was to keep it as simple as possible and to really understand and know your audience. If I'm delivering to my agents, that's going to be different than how I deliver marketing training to them for their business, because they're different categories, and their audience is the consumer and my audience is the agent. And so I have to help support their business and help support their overall feelings of trust and experience, and this company has my back, and know all of these things. And so I should have done some more research and thought more about my audience before I tried to implement something so big in such a rushed way.
Yeah. Okay, good. Well, how do you approach storytelling in your brand communications now? Obviously, you have gone to simpler messages. Anything else?
Yeah, we do try to keep it as simple as possible. And we also go back to humble beginnings. So our biggest was that we started in 2012. I started with my business partner, and we had, I think, 2 or 3 agents at the time. And we were an independent brokerage. We weren't franchised with anyone. So we were kind of a no name. We didn't hit anybody's radar when it came to production in Omaha. And so really, we started small and had an idea of where we wanted to go. And that kind of contradicts my last statement of when I launched something too quickly and didn't plan it. This was planned out very strategically over a couple of years, because we wanted to determine what our ultimate goals were. And ultimately, my biggest goal was to have an agent that was sitting across from another Better Homes and Gardens agent to know that they were going to have a good experience with that transaction. And a few years ago, I felt like we achieved that everything we'd heard from the marketplace was Better Homes and Gardens agents are really doing it. They're experts in the marketplace. They're always doing the right thing. And so that's where ultimately the simplicity comes in culture and people, and having one solid message. We're people first. We're always going to be agent first and client first. And when you do that, even when you scale, as long as you keep in that piece, yes, things are going to change, but ultimately it's going to resonate with agents that are coming over, because they see the growth and the potential and they see the values and the expertise that comes along with agents that are there, and learning from agents that can help propel their business and follow along with the core values that they really resonate with, versus a lot of real estate companies are just sales driven. Get more sales, get more this, get more that, and we're relational.
So one of the biggest things I learned in the last 10 years is when you are able to inspire team spirit, then regular math doesn't work. 1 + 1 is equal 4 instead of 2, because people help support each other. So if you're able to inspire that team spirit, kudos to you, you know?
Yeah.
That, because that is no longer, you accomplish a lot more. And my company has been around for 28 years. We had it a lot in the beginning, then we lost it, then we gained it again, and we have it back again now. But it took me a while to understand that excitement, and that you don't have to ask people. Once you're able to inspire, then that team spirit is gold for entrepreneurs.
Yeah, and it can be really tough. I mean, when COVID hit, we were in a really unknown position when it came to real estate, because suddenly I had 300 agents that are trying to put food on the table and the world stopped. And so we really doubled down during that time. And it might not seem like marketing, but ultimately it really is, because you're providing a value and a service. And so I doubled down and I started doing daily emails to everyone about what they can do to develop their business. Just one little prompt that could take 5 minutes a day. And I did that for 3 months. And it just helped keep that connection and the people inspired to do it. We also did some things with PPP to support them with a local bank. And so we really dove in and put our agents first, because we didn't have the clients at the time. Our agents were our top priority. And we wanted to make sure that they felt supported, and that ultimately getting through that was going to be, we were going to be right next to them instead of them feeling like they were walking alone.
Okay, good. So who could benefit most from Polaris Podium?
It's twofold. Right now, I'm still in development of what my core audience looks like. But right now, what my focus is on companies and educating them on how to get their biggest return when there are adversities faced with their employees, because it's a wounded workforce. Everybody goes through trials and tribulations throughout life, and it does impact our work. Now, when you go through something as big as I did, like my husband dying, there's a lot of support that can be taken right away. So that's what I felt was, okay, I've got a lot of support right now. My company's here for me. My family's here for me. I've got all of this, but within the next few months, and especially 6 months to a year, I was still grieving a loss and adapting to my new lifestyle as a single mom. And I didn't necessarily have the full capacity to be 100% focused at work, and nobody saw it because I was still performing. I was actually overcompensating and outperforming. I was working longer hours because I just didn't want to be home. And so in doing that, seeing some of the signs of where support can be needed beyond just the first couple of months. And think about PTO, bereavement is like 3 to 6 days. That's not enough time. It's not. And so we just need to be more aware of some of those subtle nuances that we can catch to make sure that we're not only supporting the employee that's going through something, but we're making sure that goals are being met, projects are being completed, and things are happening on a timely manner. And it also impacts your culture too, because if you have someone that's struggling at home, how are they showing up at work? they're showing up not in a great mood. And if they don't feel supported or they feel extra strain, there's a lot of research that shows that people that are going through big levels of grief leave their companies after a year. And that could just be they needed a change, they didn't feel supported. It could be that they felt that they weren't performing to the way that they could have been performing before. But you have some high level producers that go through a big life challenge and suddenly they can't keep up. Or on the reverse, like what I did, I overcompensated and I burnt out.
Yeah, life change. Amazing. Okay, let's go back. I'm going to ask you a question here. Let's imagine you go to a restaurant and you're in one of those booths where you cannot see people, what's next to you or behind you, but you recognize the voices, and they are three of your best friends, okay? And then you hear your name. They don't know you're there, but they start talking about you. What are the three things you would like to hear about you from them?
That's a loaded question. That's a really hard question to put back on because the perfectionism in me would say all the negative things that they would say about me. But I think ultimately and I have heard this, I don't know how she does it. She's gone through so much. She's so good at what she does. That I've just heard those things in passing, either people directly or people saying that they've had conversations about it. But that definitely would be what I would hope to hear. But yeah, that's
awesome.
I could go into the negative ones if you like.
No. I want to hear positive. All right. So how do you stay grounded when the situation is overwhelming in either business or life? I mean, you obviously went through a big one, right? Your partner dying and you were a mom, and now you have to do the business and be a mom and everything else. So how do you keep grounded?
Yeah, there were a couple of things. I wouldn't say it was difficult, but it was necessary because there are only a couple of options you have when you go through something big. You can either sit in the corner and chew on your own hair, or you can get up and show up every day. And so I developed a motto of get up, dress up, show up. So every morning, the biggest thing for me was getting up. It was like, you have to get up. There are people that need you. Your kids need you. Your employees need you. Your agents need you. So get up, but not just get up. Get in the mirror, put your best outfit on, put your makeup on, do your hair, and then show up for the people that need you in the way that they need you. So showing up, it was a lot of compartmentalizing, but it was also a way for me to get through that period of time was just show up, listen to what people need, listen to what they're saying, listen to what's happening with the reports in the company, listen to what needs you right now. And in this moment, don't get too dragged down by the big stuff that could take you into dark spaces. So it was get up, dress up, show up.
I love it. All right. My last question here. I know you started working at 16 and the internship, and obviously you're a bright person, so you evolved. But then you went to college. So at the time that you finished college and you got your license, if you can go back in time and whisper something in your ear at that point in time, what will you tell yourself?
That's a good question. I think what I would tell myself is that don't stress out so much. Stop worrying so much. Just do what you do best, and it will all come.
Awesome. Leslie, thank you very much for being part of the IMS today. It has been wonderful, and look forward to getting to know you better.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it, Ricardo.
Thanks for listening to Insight Marketing Success, where marketing knowledge meets real-world experience from vision to execution.